All right, let's start. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Lena Gilchrist, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you on how to get actionable social insight. So, I've been in market research for over 30 years. I've been working as country manager for Ipsos in Sweden, and today I'm working in our client organization, mainly working together with some of our clients to bring the best of Ipsos to them. But I also had a few years in synthesise, which is our social intelligence practice. And this is when I became really enthusiastic about what we can do better using online data for insights. So just bear with me. I am have a bit of a cold today, so I may cough at times or sneeze. I hope it shouldn't disturb the presentation too much. So anyway, today I will just have a little short introduction first, and then go through how this works, application and use cases, and finally time for questions and answers. So once when you are in the platform here, you can see where you can also post your questions. You are put on mute, so you can post your questions, and towards the end, my colleague Nicoline will read them out to me, and we will come back with that later on. So just to put social insight a little bit in context, over 60% of the global population, so over 5 billion people, use social media and leave online reviews. So it's quite obvious we should use all this data for something, right? This volume of data is also rapidly expanding. Today, 8.5 out of 10 people in Denmark use social media, and on average, we spend 4.5 hours on digital media per day. And this volume is just increasing. And it's actually 80% of enterprise data, which is unstructured. And I think us in the research industry and market research people, we are quite used to the structured data. We know exactly how to analyze and what to do. But when it comes to social data and the more unstructured, we may get a bit frustrated. So I think this is exactly how I felt a few years back before we launched what I'm going to show you today. And maybe some of you feel like this as well. I feel like I need to be a data scientist to turn social data into relevant insights. So today, we will go through how can we apply generative AIs, the structure and frameworks to synthesize and interpret organic, unstructured, consumer-generated data. But before that, I would just like to take a little step back and touch upon AI in general. So the use of AI in market research is not new, and I'm sure many of you have been using AI for several years. So we really used AI to analyze existing data and becoming more efficient. But what's different with the generative AI is that we can generate new content from patterns it has learned. So while AI, like it used to be, was mainly for efficiency, generative AI is also to assist creativity. So this is, of course, bringing many, many new possibilities. But it's also important to remember that AI is a technology. It is a tool. We as humans need to be there. So I think there's a lot of talk today about how AI is taking over and where do we humans fit in. But everything we can see is that when we blend the unique competence of us as people with AI, we become much stronger. So we can bring the imagination, creativity, we can ask the right questions to AI and generative AI, and then AI will bring efficiency, inspiration, and scale. So every test we are doing, if we bring these two competencies together, we create better concepts, communication is stronger, etc. So this is a very good reminder of that. So even if we think technology is mind-blowing, it's still us who are there to screen it, to filter it, etc. And generative AI is everywhere at Ipsos today. In every single business question we are talking to our clients about, in all our innovation areas, this is just going through like a red thread, and there are so many possibilities. We have different solutions designed to address our clients' insight needs, whether it is in innovation, communication, developing products. We have something But today we will focus on Ipsos Signal's generative AI, where we turn vast amounts of data into action-ready insights in less than 60 seconds. I will, towards the end, also push for our next webinar on persona bots, but I will come back to that. So now full focus on Signal's generative AI, which is the ready-to-use generative AI solution where we turn millions of social data signals into insights in less than 60 seconds. So some of the use cases we think that this really brings value is that when we want to understand consumers, their own language and their own unmet needs and pain points, we can learn so much from this. We can get many ideas for innovation, for product development, to really see where consumers today express a gap in the market. There's also a really strong way of detecting trends and signals. So if we look at trends, we often talk about the big meta trends, the macro trends, if you will. We can then bring them down to a more granular level. And through Signal's GenAI, we can detect these early trends and signals, for example, on as granular level as ingredients or formats. So it's very strong to use in all our trend work we do. We get very strong feedback on product experience if we want to optimize or make our products perform better or services. And of course, a lot of focus on brands. What is the imagery of a brand compared to competitors? What is the distinctive assets? Maybe to do along a brand tracking to get some more depth and some more consumer feedback on your brand. Many other areas as well, as you will see. So we have our platform, which is called synthesise, and it's been developed over many years, and we've been touching on many of these business questions over the years. So the database we have covers many different sources. So we have all the social media sources, but also the search from, for example, Google and Amazon. We have ratings and reviews and behavior data. So it's a strong platform which is really then identifying the key signals and tipping points in data to monitor impact or changes in the market. We have partnerships with Meta and Google's BERT, for example, so that we can train our semantic AI models for unstructured data. So this technology can then support us in turn data from all these sources into insight value in real time. So, of course, we've been working with these social media data for several years. And when I started in synthesise, I felt it was a bit overwhelming. I had to try to understand how to write the prompts, the booleans, to really dig in for impactful insights. But now that is changing with Signal's GenAI, so we can click on a certain insight lens to get impactful insights. And even those social media insights or online conversational insights, let's say, were in a way quicker than some of the other research methodologies we use. It's today a really fast thing to do. Of course, there are different levels even today. We can touch upon a small signal scanning for half a day, but not everything is solved in half a day. But if we just want to have a quick read on something, we can definitely get quite far on half a day. And it used to be a lot of resources going into the actual technicalities of social media analysis, whereas now through this click and prompt kind of tool that you will see soon, it's a lot easier. So just showing you what kind of data we normally use or what that we have in our domain is, of course, all the social media networks, everything which is out in the open. So if there is a private Facebook page where you don't want anyone to see what you're writing, we won't access it either. But we have, of course, agreements with all the big providers and get access to everything which is in the open domain. So Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, etc. Some countries have their special social medias, like China with WeChat, which is also what we include. Blogs and forums are really important, and for some topics more than others. So Reddit is often a very important source alongside Tumblr, Flickr, Quora. We have all the news and media sites and everything then which is commented on those sites, ratings and reviews, very good for understanding product and services experiences, and search data through Google, Bing, YouTube, Amazon, etc. So all these sources together can provide us then with a very complete picture. And just looking at the differences between these data types. So the social media data, as we normally call the great explorer, because it's really authentic, spontaneous. It gets us into this true consumer language in contextual settings. Whereas review data is quite strong when it comes to also to content and gives very concrete product reviews. And we call it the experience echo. And finally, the search data is the intent universe. So often if we look at what are consumers interested in, the trends, etc., we combine it also with search data. So on the left here, we can see some typical data types that we get from these different sources. So if we do look for Google search, we can see that now then the parent here is Googling for allergy-friendly baby formula or breastfeeding for babies with allergies. Whereas when this same person is on Reddit, she may or he may write 8 months in and dealing with a milk and soy allergy. Baby was diagnosed and I hate to check labels, and putting all this into the more consumer mindset. And then in the product review that we also can look at is a more concrete feedback on this certain formula. So as you can see, the combination of these different data sources will give a complete picture. So the key thing here is, and why it's now so much simpler, is that we've developed a plug and prompt library, which is grounded in Ipsos research expertise. So we have all these different insight lenses, more than 40 of them, available to click on in the tool. And we will soon look at them in the tool, but I will just first go through a bit how it works. So we have used all the knowledge we have in Ipsos in research for over 40 years. We, of course, use academic rigor to make sure that what we put under these prompts are very much in line with common knowledge, etc. So under innovation, let's say we want to innovate, we want to understand, is there an opportunity for a certain product in the market, or what could we find to innovate in a certain market? We can go in under the lens of innovation and check for consumers' pain points. What are their unmet needs? What do they, for example, see as solution gaps today or benefits they're looking for? Through this, we can get a very rich data set on what is lacking in the market today. And that means we can use that as a foundation for innovation. We may combine it. I'm just going to cough. Sorry. We may combine it with trends. For example, like I said, bringing it into what are those trending ingredients, flavors, formats, etc. in this specific category. Or put it into broader category context to understand what are the need states, what are the moments in this category, what are the drivers and barriers. Under brand and communication, we have prompt as brand imagery, drivers and barriers, distinctive assets. We can check for experiences where we have included some of our Ipsos-specific forces of customer experience. And then we have some specific frameworks which we can also check the lens of them in this tool. So very comprehensive. And I will now have a sip of water and then I will take you through a demo. Thank you. So this is a demo. We are in the context of healthy beverages. And today we would like to explore alcohol-free beer. We are really, or alcohol-free beverages, sorry. We're really keen to find opportunities here. So I go in, I have all my lenses, and I want to see what could be those entry points that I could go in within this category. So I'm selecting here some lenses that I want to look through. Unmet needs, I think is good to look at. And I will also look at user innovation. What have users started to do on their own in this category? I would like to understand a bit about trends. So I'm checking through the different lenses here. So I think it could be interesting to also check the trend clusters and for market. So I'm also checking how maybe it could be an idea to check what are the different target groups in this. So I'm looking here for personas. So I'm also checking to see what are the different personas in this category. So I think that's what I will stop with for this search. So I have 4 searches that I'm launching in a minute here. So now that's all I do, and the insights will then be brewing. I've got my first lens, which was the unmet needs, that I'm now trying to uncover as a first step. So it takes a little bit of time depending on the number of mentions. So now I've got my insights here that would come up with 20 insights grouped into 10 categories like cost, value, labeling, transparency, variety, and availability. So I can click on each of these if I like, and I can get a more in-depth insight what is beyond that specific theme. So I went into the second one, which was one of the other ones, which is the trend cluster. So here I got 68 different trends, and I go in and I can click concretely here on the different posts so that I really understand that it's real post, and I can understand what are they actually saying. So it's a more qualitative analysis. So there is a summary above, and then I can click. This is really interesting to check, for example, the user innovation. Here we've also got 6 categories, 19 different insights. This is what users have been talking about that they have been producing themselves at home. So of course, this is an area where lots of production is going on, especially like craft beers. And like I said, we may want to check for personas. What personas do we have in this category? So we have 7 categories, for example, health and wellness. We have Sober Sally, the health conscious mom, and we can see what is behind this persona. She's a busy mom enjoying a glass of non-alcoholic, and here comes a few other ones. So of course now we're doing this at a speed, but just so that you get a glimpse of the tool, just to see how easy it is and what you can get out of it. And in this case, we are just now looking at the more qualitative part of it. But of course, it's also possible to quantify and check these aspects over time. And we can also go beyond these specific signals or specific clicks and go even further into modeling, etc. But we come a long way with signals, generative AI. So just in summary, in Ipsos, we normally have our 4 S's as a standard for everything we do: speed, simplicity, substance, and security. And this tool really lives up to all 4 of them. So it delivers impactful insights at the click of a button. Like you saw, it doesn't take a long time. And that means also that we can do it, more of us. So it's a simple thing. You can go into this tool as a beginner. You don't need to be very experienced in social intelligence. It's just really a democratization of insights. And it has substance because we have been bringing all these expertise from many years of work into the development of this. So it's also developed by and for insight professionals. And that's a really key point, because some tools in the market they're very strong, but they don't have that insight lens. So that's a key differentiator for this tool. And then it is really grounded in consumer data. The security aspect is very strong when we talk about generative AI. So we have a lot of validations to have a very strong accuracy rate of about 90%. Social media analysis is available for many, many markets across the world. So we have social intelligence teams in many markets, and many of you are based in Denmark, and there's a very strong team in Denmark who can do analysis for Denmark, but also for the rest of the world. And as of 1st of January, all languages in the world will be available on this tool. What is important to mention is that when we look at social media data, it's not, most of it is not geolocated. So we often have to use a little bit of workarounds to do country analysis. So it's often a language analysis that we have to do. And of course, this is not an issue when you want to look at Denmark or Sweden or Norway who have specific languages. But a language like English is spoken in many, many markets. So sometimes we just use what we say global English. And if a country is very important, we often need to go through seeing what brands are available or more prompts to make it country specific. But this is not an Ipsos thing. This is just how social media data works. So from now on, we will more touch upon the use cases and applications. The first case I would like to talk about is from L'Oreal. So this is Frank Brissot. He's Global Consumer Market Insights Director at L'Oreal. We were co-presenting together with Frank at the ESOMA Congress just a few weeks ago. And one of his very strong verbatims is, if we could have used Signal's generative AI earlier, it would have saved us a year in our quest to understand the importance of mental well-being in beauty. And we have only scratched the surface, maybe 20% of the tool's potential. So this is quite a strong statement, and I'm just going to talk about one of the cases that L'Oreal then have been using the tool for. So it is to decode the link between beauty and mental wellness. So of course, as most of us know, mental health is very, very strong in the world. And it's a strong health concern, actually, even before cancer or COVID. And the anxiety about appearance is accelerating. So in a way, L'Oreal feels that they have some kind of responsibility in this field, and they also need to address this in whatever they are doing. And in social media, you expose yourself a lot with your appearance. So this is where L'Oreal then looked at, or not looked at all 17 million, but there was 70 million of social data conversations at the crossroad of beauty and mental health. So through this tool that we just looked at in 60 seconds, 3 clicks, they got a lot of insights in the tensions of anxiety linked to appearance. In this case, they looked at, for example, the barriers for consumers, and it really identifies the importance of beauty standards and societal pressure, and the role that the industry has to put and how we might put pressure on self-image, or companies like L'Oreal and other beauty companies. And then, of course, clicking, like we showed before, you can really get into those more detailed consumer understandings to get to a more thorough human understanding. And I think this is one of those highlights that L'Oreal wanted to emphasize when they were talking on the stage, is that it amplifies empathy. It helps decode consumer desires and unearths the why behind the buy and illuminates the decision journey. It really turns insight into actions and unleashes creativity. So it really is this tool to decode the human in real time, faster, with more granularity. So this is the first case. And a little bit on a similar theme, I would now like to have a little conversation with my colleague Stefan Papadikis. He's Associate Director in Healthcare and has been using for his clients the Synthesise tool for many different topics. So welcome, Stefan.
Thank you, Lena, and thank you for the invitation. So yeah, my name is Stefan. I am responsible for our healthcare research here at Ipsos in Denmark, and even though we often work with niche target groups or niche topics, we still have seen an increasing value of using social intelligence in general, and now in the since it became available also with Signal's GenAI, we have seen increased value in doing this a bit quicker and a bit easier implementing this extra layer to our social intelligence analysis. So I'll just show you some examples of how we use it in healthcare. So generally, social intelligence is very good, as Lena also mentioned earlier, in identifying trends, trying to explore the challenge that people live with or the unmet needs that they express online. I think within health research in general, we often see people go online with questions or frustrations or challenges. So in that way, it's a really good way to actually see what is struggling them with, or how people are struggling or what challenges they face. And then, of course, we can apply the lens. How can we then go in and help them? So it's really a nice sort of easy gateway into understanding lived experience of people with health issues. An alternative to, for example, to go out and do ethnography or getting, of course, you get so much richer and more in-depth research or insights. But here we have a shortcut and we can get quite a lot and many good insights from what's posted online. So one use case that I would like to highlight is this: if we can really try to understand a market or a specific target group by applying a discussion analysis. So I think 2 weeks ago we also hosted a webinar on where we uncovered the online dialogue on women's health in Scandinavia. So it was all the posts regarding women's health in either Danish, Norwegian, or Swedish that we looked at, and we could really see what is top of mind, what are the key discussions, what are the challenges, and the unmet needs expressed by women online. I'll come back to this example as it was a self-funded study. We can luckily show you some of the insights. Another way we've seen social intelligence and in this case also Signals AI become really, really valuable is in the early product innovation phase. So we can go in and see behavioral trends, product uses, again, unmet needs, and then try to see, well, how can we support these people with a certain issue with new products? So really fueling early innovation. We've done this within oral care, we've done this within digestive health, we've also done it within probiotics and preventive health. So mostly OTC cases, but still it's very, very nice tool for this. So what's the next thing? What can we explore further? And getting some direction on product innovation. We've also just wanted to take some examples where we really, really zoom in on more niche groups. So we did a study within ADHD in Denmark, for example, trying to explore how is it to live with this in Denmark? What are the challenges? What are the sort of experience that you have when you interact with the healthcare system? And really try to see, again, applying a lens on a very, very specific group and say actually providing very, very strong insights around it. We also did a study where we looked into waste management and sustainability considerations among users of medical devices. So again, a very, very niche group and a niche topic. Of course, the volume of data decreases, but even with these niche target groups, we are still able to go in and have a look and maybe more qualitatively look at then what's actually being said here. So it's applicable for a wide range. So all women basically to a very, very specific target group. So let's zoom in a bit on the women's health case here. So overall, just some examples of what we can take out quite easily, and with Signals AI as well. It's just to see, so we have a pool of data. Of course, the first step is to figure out where is this coming from. And for when we looked at women's health, we see that almost two or more than 2/3, took place on forums. And for us, this really showcases that people are, when discussing health issues, are seeking anonymity. They are seeking someone who is in a specific situation as themselves, and also intimacy, because it's closer groups of communities and a narrow sort of target group. They only interact with people they know can either relate to it or maybe provide the answers that they need. And where we see here, social media is not really a big area of conversation for health issues. When we do these analysis, so the first thing we get is this interactive map of themes. So we automatically cluster them within sort of larger themes, and within them we have certain bubbles or topics that we can explore further. So this is an overview that we get, and we call it double click because it's interactive. You can go in. So for example, I want to look only at menopause. All right, then you open the big theme of menopause. Well, I want to go in and look specifically on menopause in a workplace environment. Then you go in and zoom in on that, and then you can actually zoom all the way down to see the individual posts in the end. So this is a very nice way of getting an overview and look deeper into the topics that are present in the online discussions. An interesting also automated thing we can do is to see this, of course, volume and topics and the development over time. So on the left, we divided, so the study we made, into 5 key themes, and we can then see, so what is actually the volume of the discussions over time. So for example, if you do a campaign, it might be worth noticing whether you can see an increase in the amount of discussions. For example, there was a Pink October, and we could see an increase in the discussion on cancer-related posts. So it's quite interesting. If you know you have specific events or campaigns, you can see, is there actually an influence on the online discussions. On the right-hand side, you can also just see, so of course, the size of the specific topic, what's really important in there, what are people discussing. So for within women's health, we can see that reproductive health is, of course, the by far largest theme across the 3 markets that we included. After that, we, of course, can zoom in on specific discussion and themes. So what Signals AI can do is getting close to what you see on the left side here. So for example, if you look only at cancer discussions online among women, it automatically comes with these suggestions for trends. And what we have here is, so for example, within cancer, we see self-examination, getting tested, and genetic testing kits, with 3 common discussions that had a high volume when we looked at, so related to women's health and related to cancer. So this is a way to see what are sort of the trends here. What we can then apply from the more automated output is we can put it into context, as we see on the right. So we have these, of course, trends, and then we look at it more broadly. We go in and look, and then, of course, we can see across all the themes we have that health monitoring is a trending in online discussions. So really applying these lenses, so you have the sort of automated trends, and then you can put it into context with human intelligence, is where we see it provides a lot of value. But of course, now with Signals AI, we come to the first step much easier and much more faster.
Great, thanks, Stefan. It was really helpful to get into some real cases here. And I'm just going to show a few more themes to give some inspiration. One of the areas we can use generative AI and Signals GenAI is, especially if we want to do a short, say, scan, a pre-study to a larger project, where we maybe just want to go in quickly and check what's going on in a category. This is an example from Tetra Pak. It's a world-leading food processing and packaging solutions company, and they are working with their customers and suppliers to provide access to safe, nutritious food for millions of people in more than 160 countries. So they're very interested in category development and to see what's going on early on in certain categories. So this is a way for let's say, starting off a project to understand what are those early trends, to look at the formats, the products, what is actually happening in a certain category. And I would like also to touch upon different service levels, because we said, well, it goes really fast, and it can do. So we have sometimes our clients, they have the platform themselves. It's like a do-it-yourself platform. They can themselves go into the platform, define what they want to see, and just do a quick search themselves. This is an example of the preparation for an innovative idea springboard for cartridge-free printer. So the client had access to the tool. It went into the cartridge-free refillable printers, which is the specific theme here, clicked on unmet need, pain points, solution gaps, and jobs to be done, and found some really strong inputs to this innovation idea springboard, which then the Synthesio user turns learnings into instant ideas and actions. So this only took 3 hours, and it was a very quick thing to do. There is also a way to have a supported do-it-yourself platform, meaning that we put more time into the analysis, put more time into the whole thinking, writing maybe a proper report. So this is a case in hair removal device market where it took 3 days. We had more prompts, and we also wrote the story and did a more holistic view of this category. And another case, which even takes longer than this is an insight reporting service, meaning that the customer, the client, doesn't have the access to the tool, but we at Ipsos get, as we normally do, a brief. And in this case, it was trend mapping and prediction, and even the whole way to innovation ideas. This took 8 days. In this category, we identify some certain trends, we could predict them, we could deep dive into these specific trends. They are in the skincare area. We could define through different analysis what is the opportunity of the different trends. We could check to see in what speed are they growing. We could also check at what cycle and stage are these different trends, and who's the rising star, what brand is now sort of aiming at or leading in this certain domain. And also come up with ideas based on, for example, the unmet needs and benefits. So this is, of course, a much more extensive project, and we get a much more result out of it. And that takes also longer time. But it's just mentioning that some of the very light touch is very reasonable. Of course, it could be accessible for everyone. So it's a very low entry point into something like generative AI and Signals GenAI. So this is a strong tool. It's been received best ratings for strategic insights and hybrid services by Forrester. So we are up there in the far right corner. And many clients have chosen to work specifically with Signals generative AI. So we hope that this has caught your attention, and that you may also join our list of clients. So our next webinar is the persona bots, which my colleague Dorte Ibinger will talk about how we can bring consumer segments to life with generative AI-powered personas. And I can guarantee you that this is also super exciting. It's something which is growing a lot, and I'm thinking that why don't you sign up already? And with that, I would like to hear if we have any questions before we close this webinar for today. I'm happy that you've all joined so far, and hope this has brought you some interest into this new exciting tool. So Nicoline, do we have any questions in the chat?
Thank you, Lena. Yes, we do. We have a couple of questions. So the first one is regarding social analysis. Do you split between posts by company brand themselves, the partners to brands, and then the final end user consumers? I would like to be able to focus on these different groups.
Yes, definitely. So we always check for, it's very different if a user, if it's generated by the user himself or herself, or if they're reacting to maybe a brand or so. And we can always define between these different posts and where they come from. So we can sometimes exclude what is generated from companies and brands and just check for the consumer generated content, etc. So yes, for sure. That's something we really check. And we can also specifically look for influencers. So there are different ways to just determine between these different target groups.
Great. Yeah, we got another one here. How well does this work for niche industries with a limited number of posts for each topic?
Before we start any project, we need to do a little search, a pre-search to see if it works or not. But I think often it is quite good at those niche topics like Stefan was talking about. There were some niche areas in the healthcare area. It may not be the same amount of posts, but rather than, for example, recruiting in qual for a niche target group, this is a way to find these people, especially if it is, of course, is a topic which is talked about. So we have to do this feasibility test. If it's a niche area, no one talks about it online, well, then it's difficult. But some niche areas are talked about a lot, and then this is a great tool. One area, for example, we did a project on was vegans. It's quite difficult to find hardcore vegans if you just recruit them. But if you go online, you can really get into communities, areas where vegans discuss and where they put in their point of view. So rather than sometimes trying to recruit like haystack, needle in a haystack, this is a way to find these niche people and teams. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And we have another one here. There's a lot of talk about hallucination when it comes to AI. Can you explain a bit more on how you validate that the data is accurate?
Yeah, sure. Hallucination is strong. So I think what we have is a validation process. It's 3 steps. So for example, these prompts that we were showing before, how we build them, they're based on all our experience from research. So how we build them is one of the validation steps. But then we need to check. So when we get a summary of a certain theme, we need to go beyond that and see that it is actually real verbatims building up that theme so that it's not just creating, say, a conclusion or an insight based on nothing. So we always try to match that to make sure it's based on real conversations by real people. And then, funnily enough, we can actually use generative AI to back check and fast check insights. So we play back what we've got into the tool and then get confirmation. So these 3 steps give us this, what we say, the 90% validation rate that what we see in this tool is the truth and coming from real people with real comments.
Great. Yeah. Well, I think that was all
on
the question. We have another one. Oh, we have one here, Lena. Regarding sources, is it possible to add a forum that can provide forum posts as RSS, or in other ways add specialized and open forums?
Yeah, I guess, we have access to many forums. I think all the different discussions around what data is there and not can be taken. And if there is a specific source, we can probably try to find a way to access that. But I think in general, we have a very complete toolbox. But I think for specific, we can always discuss how to access that if we don't already have an agreement.
And I can add in here, Lena. So
yes.
We can source new forums. So we've done that a few times, like Stoma forums in Germany. We wanted access, so we can source that and get that in. We've also seen, for example, health-specific ones in Norway where we wanted to add that in. We knew there was an important source, so we go in and talk to our clients. Where is this being discussed? If it is a really niche topics, and then we can try to discuss with the owners of that forum whether we can source the data and see if it's publicly available. So we can source extra channels and forums.
Perfect. That was a great example, Stefan. All right. So sorry?
Yeah, I think that was all.
Yeah, that was all. Okay, perfect. So thank you everyone for joining, and don't hesitate in reaching out to anyone in the Ipsos Denmark team to hear more and discuss your potential opportunities and questions. And we have a team filled with social intelligence experts who will be happy to help you. And then don't forget to enroll on the Persona Bot webinar in a couple of weeks' time. So thank you very much and have a really good day. Bye-bye.